so happy about that. Once upon a time, I was homeless, sleeping in my car, and I made it look really good because I would go visit friends and be like, hey, you want to go out tonight? Well, girl, I got my clothes in the car. We could change. So I would shower and change at their house. And they never knew, never ever knew. My family, my sister's here, and I'm sure I could have lived with her. But, you know, pride comes before destruction. And I had a lot of pride. But I worked a night job so that people would not know. That way I would have somewhere to sleep. I would make sure my children, I have a son and a daughter. My daughter's 15 and my son is 25. I know, right? Craziness, foolishness. And so my daughter, I would always make sure she had somewhere to go. Finally, I could not take it anymore, and I was like, I have to let go of pride and do what's best for my children. So I got a one-way ticket. First, I sent my children to Arkansas with my parents, which I cried every single night. And then I flew there, and I lived there for a year. And I kind of built a block, got my life together. And, you know, I cried every single night in that room. Every night. And I know we all go through that because people make us feel a certain kind of way, don't they? As single parents, and even when it comes back to the relationships, when we come to church for healing. And sometimes people look at us and they're like, oh, look at her, you know, and they think, you know, you're trying to find a husband. Or choices that we make as single mothers. They are not always the choices we want to make, but sometimes it's about survival. So it's about feeding our children. So people look at us and they oust us, but you don't know what I went through that night before. You don't know the choices that I had to make as a single mother. So sometimes it's all about survival. It has nothing to do with this is just where I want to be. So I need, you know, for us before we leave, I want us to have a call to action and say, I am enough. I'm enough. So can you guys say that? I am enough.
I am enough.
I am enough. And I am not a stereotype. I am not a statistic. And so we need to get that in our spirit. And I don't, you know, people say, you know, oh, you don't look like you were that way. My mother always taught me, you step out the house, people don't need to know what you're going through. They don't need to know that. And guess what? You want to attract, you know, certain kind of people. It doesn't matter that I slept in my car. It doesn't matter that I ran out of gas every other day. It does. I mean, I went through all of that. So people say, but I did not allow it to victimize me. I'm not a victim. I'm not going to stand around like, woe is me. We don't want to be, you know, having a pity party. We don't want to be that person that everybody's like, oh, you know, but also take the help that people offer you. And don't be too proud to accept what it is that you need. Because as I look at each one of you guys, and I heard her say, I'm always ear hustling. And I heard her say, you know, we came to the front and sat. But you know what? That's leadership. That means that you're not hiding. You're not feeling like you got to be in the background, because you do not have to be in the background. It doesn't matter as a single parent what you've been through. And we were on 1390 yesterday, and Nicole was speaking about, you know, being a single parent. And just because you're a single parent, everyone didn't make that choice. It could, like she said, people could have lost their husband. Someone could have died. And it's not like we're like, rah, you know, go be a single parent. If we were real with ourselves, we say that's not the choice we want. But guess what? We soldiers. And we going to make it work. We going to make that work. We going to keep it moving. And whatever we got to do. I done made a meal. I'm telling you, I have made some meals, and my daughter be like, oh my God. I mean, you can make a meal. We are so resourceful. Yes. But we cannot be proud. And you got to know who you are, and you got to walk, you got to stand upright. And I say, as single mothers, carry yourself proud. Do not, and I don't want to say this because I'm in the sanctuary, but you are not that big. Okay, don't call yourself that, because you're not. So I need to be able to say that as single mothers. We should have pride in what we do, and then unleash that hero, as we said, in us, and then take that on to someone else. So that way we do break those generational curses. Now, guess what? We are no longer having that whole chain of single mothers. We're not having 13, 14, 15-year-olds being single mothers. I told my girlfriend's 2 daughters, I said, make sure you guys get married before, because you want to make sure people aren't making the same mistakes, because then it's no reason. And then her mother, my girlfriend said, why do they have to be married before they have children? I almost fell out. I was like, really? So it's just things, and there are resources out there for us. People say we take advantage of things, but as the state senator says, sometimes we don't have the resources. We don't have the money. And the governor, he stood and talked about minimum wage. Those are things that sometimes block us. So what we want to do is we want to use resources. I lived in transitional housing. For 2 years, they paid all my rent. They gave me a car. They paid all my bills until I got myself on my feet. So there are resources. Transitional housing, that's a resource you guys can use. Call 611. Get your rent paid. They will help you have all your ducks in a row. And I just say, do not be a statistic. Do not let them tell you who you are. You define exactly who you are as a mother. You know what? We can't go back and undo it. So we got to work in our right now. And then we worry about the future. It has nothing to do with what we're doing right now. So if you guys, I would love for you to be a part of Professional Girlfriends, because we are mentoring. We mentor young women. Belika here is my closer. She's a part of Professional Girlfriends. And it's some information in my booth out there. But just want to come and encourage you as a single mother and letting you know I done been there, and as you were laughing and shaking your head, I'm like, we done made a meal out of something. That's what we do. You know, and statistics, they try and turn it around and make us out to be something that we're not. So again, my call to action for you is use your resources when you need them. Don't make that be all that you are, because I always say, I told my sister the day before yesterday, I'm not going to struggle all my life. You know, I am not going to struggle all my life. I'm going to be rolling out in whatever Range Rover I want to ride in, and it ain't for nobody else. It's about me working hard as a single mother, and then not always staying there attracting that God-fearing husband that God has for us. But we got to prepare ourselves, and we cannot be that person, you know, that they had. I wrote a book of poetry back in 2000, and I'm not going to, you know, recite the whole thing, but it's called A Mask. And it was when I tried to commit suicide, and I split my wrist. And it was because I always walked around with a mask on. I could come out the house head to toe, on point. But in the inside, I was dying. I never slept at night. And it called, I stepped outside the house, but no one ever know what I'm going through. They think she got to have it going on, right? No, that's a lie. You know, so for me, I don't want to wear a mask anymore. I took that mask off. I don't want to have a mask on my heart, on my spirit, on my soul, or on my face. I want to be transparent to everyone and let them know that I am who I say I am, that I walk in greatness, that we walk in greatness, that we are enough, and that no one can tell us who we are or who we are not as single parents. You make that look like what you want to look. You put that face on that, and don't even call yourself a single mother. Guess what? I am a mother. I have children, because now we're buying into what they're telling us that we are. So again, our call to action is use our resources. Make sure that we are standing up inside of our greatness for who we are. Whatever happened yesterday, whatever happened to you this morning before you came, if you ain't have enough gas to get here, if you ain't had nothing to eat, I don't care. Right now you're sitting here. It was on purpose that you came here. God put you here for a reason. No matter what I say, no matter what Nicole says, no matter what Pastor Brooks says, guess what? Somebody gonna feed into your spirit today. And they're going to let you know that that is not my circumstance, and that I am a brand new woman. I am a mother of beautiful children. And don't pass that stigma on to your children. Don't make them feel like, oh, you know, now they feel bad about it. That's not what we're here for. So our call to action is, I am enough. So I want you guys to say it one more time. I am enough.
I am enough.
Thank you very much.
All right.